What's going on, Charlie Rymer? And welcome to the inaugural episode, my friend, of Instant Golf Improvement. Thanks for joining me.
I'm happy to be with you, John. You can see from my background here, this is bringing me back to mini tour days. I'm in my pickup truck along I-20, actually pretty close to Reynolds Plantation near Greensboro, Georgia, in a Home Depot parking lot.
There you go. Is
I got
that the new
the
sponsor?
clothes rack going.
That's the new sponsor, I guess.
No, I just was at Augusta all week last week and hadn't quite made my way home yet. So I picked up the hat. I was standing in line, 40-minute line to get in the golf shop at Augusta. And I was looking around at all these people. I'm like, look at all these crazy people standing in line for 40 minutes to get in there and buy this stuff while I'm standing in line with them for 40 minutes to buy this stuff. So I guess it works. They caught me for this hat.
Does it remind you of your days living in Orlando, waiting in line at Disney?
I waited in line when my kids were 6th and 7th grade, living in Orlando. A lot of time at Disney. It wasn't quite that hot, though.
So I got to get the formalities out of the way while he gets the phone. I'm John Hughes. I'm a PGA Master Professional of Instruction. And behind me is my home, the Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate. Pardon the wind. It is a bit breezy out here on the range. Over my left shoulder is Eagle's Edge, our top tracer range. And right behind me is where all the coaching gets done. Want to thank Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate. They've been fantastic to me over the past couple of years. Hope you do come visit us here. Also want to thank my partners, Callaway, Donald Ross Sportswear, and of course, Flight Scope for taking part in this. Last year, it was all called On Par with John Hughes Golf. This year, because of this book, new name, new idea, new title, and by the way, guests every time. And I want to start this out by saying in May of 1995, I gave this a lot of thought. I don't have the exact date, but May of 1995, I'm not sure if it was a pleasure, honor, distinction, or distraction, but I played behind this guy in a pro-am at Cobb's Glen Country Club in Anderson, South Carolina. Charlie and Hugh Royer III were the celebrity pros.
Mm-hmm.
And scrambles normally take 5.5 to 6 hours. With Charlie in front of me, it took 7. Thank you, Charlie. That was my initial meeting of Charlie way back when. But
was I talking? Was I talking?
All the time. All the time. All the time. And it was annoying at that day, but little did we both know how many years later we'd serve on the North Florida PGA board together. We've done a lot of things business-wise together, and I can call you one of the true friends that I have in the industry, and I appreciate you being there for me throughout the years. Thank you. I want people to understand what you've been up to, because it's been a little while since you've been on Golf Channel.
Sure.
What have you been doing, and what do you want to talk about that way?
Well, when I stepped away from Golf Channel, and I was grateful for my run there, around 11 years or so, Golf Channel, and prior to that, about 10 years at ESPN. I was fortunate to get a chance to do a lot of promotional work for Myrtle Beach, and I grew up in South Carolina, and we were able to get a show on for a while. It was on CBS Sports, and then ESPN, the Charlie Rymer show, and original name, I know. And so I had a chance to jump in and do that. It was a lot of fun, and Myrtle Beach has been a special place to me. And occasionally I would still jump in and do a few TV shows here and there for some different networks. And along that path, I got a chance to get in the golf development business. I did that at Macklemore, Northwest Georgia, where you've spent a lot of time, and that's pretty close to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and right where Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee come together. And really proud of some of the things that we were doing there, including working really hard on a team that brought the Keep into existence, and really proud that Sports Illustrated that named that the best new golf course in the country last year. So it's a beautiful place. I still live in the area. I don't work day to day with Macklemore, but continue to be a member and an investor there. And I am continuing to look into the golf development business a little bit, and I'm not sure what the next project is going to be, and continue to do a little bit of television as well. In fact, John, I've got a show that'll be on Golf Channel April 21st. It's called the Ace Shootout, and it's a great event that we did out in Hawaii back in January, and through the Ace Hardware Foundation, raises a lot of money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and has some wonderful celebrities there. And the show's a lot of fun, and I got a chance to co-host that with actor comedian Rob Riggle. So I've been staying pretty busy, John. So
You have been.
been staying pretty busy. Yep.
I want to embarrass you just a little bit here. Let me see if I can figure this out for us here.
If
Let's.
you're able to embarrass me, you might be the first person that's been able to do that in a long time.
So let's see here. No, I don't want to do that. That's cutting me out. Can you see? Let's see here. Can you see that? No, I don't think you can see that image. Can you see the image of you?
I got
don't
me
think
in a
you
little
can.
corner, and then I got you in the rest of the screen. I figure you're trying to do that. You know, you get a bigger
Yeah,
screen than I do.
I'm trying to do that, and like always, I fail to get the technology correct when the
It
cards
gets
are
all
down.
of
But
us.
I was going to embarrass you with a picture from 1985.
Oh wow.
Most people don't know that you're a USGA champion,
Yeah.
and I want to start there
Yeah.
and say that, hey, what is it that a youngster needs to do? A youngster meaning under the age of 18. What does a youngster really need to do to not become the best golfer that they can, but to become the best person and golfer that they
Hmm.
can? Because you and I have had these discussions before, and the various influences that you've been part of your life. I was hoping you'd share a little bit of that, because there's a ton of junior golfers out there now, much more than when you played,
Sure.
and a lot of them see defeat early. And what was it that got you over that?
Well, I was fortunate that I didn't lose a whole lot of junior golf tournaments because I was 6'4", 260 when I was in the fourth grade, and I was able to beat all those kids. The problem, John, is when all the kids grew up and got big, they started beating me. But junior golf was an absolutely magnificent experience for me. As I mentioned a moment ago, I grew up in South Carolina, and we had a great group of folks there, led by Hap Lathrop, and who got the fire started in the South Carolina Golf Association, South Carolina Junior Golf Foundation. A guy named Charlie Roundtree, his dad. It's no accident that the state of South Carolina has come up big with major champions from a state that really doesn't have a real big population. And so every time I go back to South Carolina, in fact, I'm just leaving the Hootie and the Blowfish Monday after the Masters Celebrity Pro-Am that had its 30th year yesterday. I've been at 28 of those events, and so that's been a real honor. The guys in the band, I've been fortunate to be good friends with them for a long time. They've raised a lot of money for junior golf. So I grew up in a wonderful junior golf program, and certainly the chance to compete was there. But a lot of times what I see happen in junior golf, while the game has changed a lot, kids being competitive has not. And I think sometimes golf it's not all about winning. And in fact, if you look to golf, you don't get a chance to win that much, no matter what you do. I mean, gosh, if you win once a year for 12 or 15 years, that's a Hall of Fame career on the PGA Tour. That's a lot of losing too. So you got to learn how to deal with that. So I see young people that get so hyper competitive that they don't really enjoy the journey. They don't enjoy the fact that they get to spend time with their family. They get to go to beautiful places. They get to meet a lot of different folks. Sure, be competitive, go out and try to win, but realize where you are and the opportunity that you have, and whether it's your family or other people that are in the area that you're growing up in have provided this amazing opportunity for you. Make sure you take a moment to go say hello to them and thank them. And gosh, I was able to develop lifelong friendships with people back in the day in college golf, and later on, quite honestly, in professional golf, you'd stay with families, you'd meet people, you'd create business relationships, you'd create friendships, and get a chance to see the world. So compete, but don't forget that you got to live life too, and play with your head up, and take advantage of the opportunity that you have to travel and create these relationships.
I couldn't have said it better. I believe, and we've talked about this before, junior golf now is much different than it was 40 years ago when you won the USGA. What is the biggest difference in your mind?
Well, John, I won in 1985 with a set of Hogan Apex PC irons with an Apex 5 shaft, and it was as stiff as a telephone pole, a Cleveland driver and 3-wood, and a Ping Zing putter. And we had no idea how to fit clubs. We had no idea that I'm a big kid, and that I could have even grips that are built up. That set of clubs are worn out towards the toe, not because I had a swing flaw. We didn't know that I could play a club that's 3/4 of an inch long and 1 or 2 or 3 degrees upright. And so I never had equipment that was properly fit, just the basic fittings, much less going through the fittings that kids are able to do now. I mean, you bust out a wrench and try all these clubs, and look over it at a flight scope, and be able to just dial everything in. That was like science fiction back in the day. So we had to take the tools that we had that most of the time were ill-fitting and figure out how to go play with them. And that was a real challenge. And we didn't have there wasn't a golf channel. There weren't we couldn't go online and have a online lesson with John Hughes. And quite honestly, if you'd been around teaching young kids, and I'm sure you were, you didn't have the knowledge then that you have now. And so it was a very different time. And John, the first time I ever saw myself swing, it wasn't on an iPhone. It was on a Polaroid sequencing camera that had to be timed out. And I think there was like 12 shots that were in sequence. That thing, and you had to pull it out, let it develop for like 3 minutes, and peel that thing open. And I'm like, wow, that's my golf swing. And I'm not ancient. I'm 58. So the technology has changed so much, and everything is gone with that. Not to mention the fitness and psychology and everything that the detailed instruction, everything that's available. I think the game's a lot cooler now because we have all that stuff. But it was very, very different when I was 17 years old.
I would say that changes every year almost. That
changes daily.
Yeah. Between shaft technology and fitting technology, and I'm going to take this virtual lesson through Golf Live with John, and then how this platform is evolving almost on a daily basis. It's crazy how fast things are moving now. To that extent, as we prep for this, I don't think I'm going to be able to pull these swings up. I've lost my broadcast button with this particular episode. We were talking about swings that you emulated, swings and golfers that you really admired. And you brought up the name Tom Purtzer, who had one of the prettiest, if not the prettiest, swings on tour forever. But yet he's not the model on the PGA Tour logo. Talk to us a little bit about Tom Purtzer. I know you've met him, you've had some time with him. What makes that swing so special to you?
Well, not only have I met him, he's a good friend. He's one of the kindest, sweetest people I know. I mean, he's just an absolute sweetheart. And I love Tom Purtzer to death. And every time the discussion comes up, best golf swing ever, some folks will, they'll have him in the discussion, the top 5, the top 10, the top 3. And he gets all, gushy about it. And he kind of just walks off. But I think that, my eye is always drawn to rhythm, and not having a technical background and not being into all the tech. What I look at is the rhythm of that swing, and just his rhythm to me is just so perfect. And the elements that I look at in the golf swing, and I guess, we're all a little bit selfish, but when I look at his impact position, that the left arm is just nice and straight. And I always struggled with kind of having a little bit of bend in my arm. I always really struggled with that. And then I always really struggled with bailing out. My hips would fire out too early. And I felt like I couldn't keep my feet underneath me. And so when I look at Tom Purcher's golf swing, just that rhythm, that impact position, and I don't know how they do it, but some of those guys would make the club look heavy. It's like the head of the club was heavy, and boom, they would lay it down and just thump that golf ball. And as always, just real basic, ball then turf, and then kind of fold up and get to the finish position. And the other one that I would look to, because there's another place that I struggled, was that left heel pulling up. Tom always did a good job with that left heel, but Gary Koch, who was a fabulous player for a long time and one of the best in the business, and one of the best that's ever put a microphone on to call golf, his left foot was so stable and stuck to the ground, back when we had real spikes. And I would always watch those two and be like, man, if I could have Tom Purcher's rhythm, his impact position, and that left foot stable, like Gary Koch, and I always worked on those things. And you had to do it by feel too, and you couldn't really look at it, but you could feel all of that going on. But those are the things that I tried to copy. And so as I moved along in golf, and as I went up, getting to play golf with those guys, spend some time with them, get to know them, was amazing. In fact, I played the first 2 rounds of the U.S. Open '92 in Pebble Beach with Gary Koch. There were 3 U.S. Junior champions in the field, me, David Duval, and Gary Koch, and they put the 3 of us together. And listen, Gary's on up there a little bit now, and Gary, I need some shots. I mean, he can still play, but that's kind of what I look to, and that's a whole lot different, I know, than how kids do it now. But again, I'm 58. That's how we learned back in the day, John.
As far as Gary, just a word about him. He still competes at the senior level at the North Florida section events, and is still very competitive.
Yep. And I bet that left foot is dead on the ground too, like it always has been.
His foot leverage, his ground forces are just absolutely phenomenal. You can, as a coach, I can see it, and how he's literally over the years not only focused on it, but I'm a big believer that athleticism starts from the ground up, and he obviously did as well as a young player.
Let me jump in. That's why I get so flummoxed over watching Scotty Scheffler, knowing how important footwork is to me. And it really looks like he's got on roller skates when he plays. I'm like, how can you be that good and your feet are just flailing everywhere? I mean, Scotty Scheffler's going to break an ankle hitting a golf ball one of these days.
He was off this weekend.
And I'm like, so I worked on that so hard, and now Scotty Scheffler has shown me it didn't really matter. It's very frustrating.
It matters. It just matters different with different people. And I think his rhythm and timing were just a bit off, because that front foot, as you were saying, hey, I'm trying to solidify it. It was moving probably just a little bit earlier than normal. If we go back to last year, when Randy Smith was actually trying to hold on to his waist during a practice session after a round, I want to say it was at the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah.
He was literally trying to slow the foot down because it was moving too fast. And that happens under pressure quite a bit.
Right.
Speaking of pressure, talk to us a little bit about pro-ams. And I'm going to set this up by saying the whole idea behind instant golf improvement came out of frustration for me, because I was sort of preaching the same things over and over and over again, and people were coming to Orlando looking for Tinkerbell's magic dust that makes her fly around Cinderella's castle. And I'm like, hey, that doesn't work. It just isn't there. But if you're misaimed, if you're not aimed, if you've got a gun and you're trying to aim it 20 yards south of your target, you're really asking for a magic bullet to do a lot of curving. Unlike a bullet, a golf ball does curve.
Yeah.
While on tour, what were the biggest setup flaws that you saw of your amateur golfers, and why do you think those were flaws?
Well, I think a lot of times especially in a pro-am, let's say you don't play a whole lot of golf, and you're all of a sudden you're in a pro-am and you're playing with some guy that you see on TV, and you get a little nervous, and you get a little anxiety. You're thinking there's so much about, is my grip right? Is this right? Is that right? Blah 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 blah. And you never even, like, target's the last thing you get to. And when you look at the best in the world, the guys that are doing it well enough to where they don't have to fly on Delta, they don't have to go through metal detectors when they travel. The target is really the first thing they look at, and I think amateurs can learn a lot from that. So in general, and I'm not a full-time teacher, I like to try to help people get a little better enjoyment, out of their day. I talk to them a little bit about strategy, and when I do talk anything has to do with golf swing, and that's why I love your new book series. I want them to get instant improvement. I think a good golf lesson should give you instant improvement, and generally that's what I'm trying to do, is make sure they can get more enjoyment this day. And
Right.
and so many times the way they're confused about their ball position. So if you don't understand and that where the ball needs to be positioned, and I know this technically isn't correct, but people relate to it and they can get through the day. I'm like, listen, if you're hitting an iron, play it off the buttons in your shirt. And if you're hitting a driver, play it inside your left shoulder, for a right-handed golfer, inside your left shoulder. And that's not perfect, but that all of a sudden, most of the time I'll see them and they're way open and the ball position is way forward. And as soon as I get that ball position a little closer with the driver, the inside the shoulder, they just kind of, as I'm moving here, it just automatically comes back a little bit more. And then they can get a little better sense of what's going on with the target can relate to. Because I tell them, I say, listen, if you don't have your ball position and your aim right, you got to make a horrible swing to hit a good shot. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the fundamentals. And I might actually drop a club down just to get, because I'm not trying to, I see some that are way off, because they're nervous and they're worked up.
Way off.
Just trying to get them, John, in the stadium. I mean, they can't see the game, because they're too far away. And just by those two little things, I a lot of times will see almost instantly some improvement. Sometimes it's dramatic. And so those are the kind of things that I work with golfers and pro-ams. The other thing is really simple, and I stole this from Sam Snead, and I'd never had a chance to meet him, but I always again, I go back to rhythm, and I know he had good positions too, but if I can get them aimed somewhat correctly and ballpark with a little better ball position and get some tension out of the hands, they're going to play a lot better and enjoy that day. And then getting the tension out of the hands, it starts when you pull the club out of the bag and you're walking over to your shot. Just in your mind, make the head of the club feel as light as you can. And all of a sudden, that's no technical, no swing thought, but all of a sudden I can see them relaxing a little bit, and we get away from the hit and they can think swing a little bit more. So those two things are kind of my go-tos to help people get more enjoyment out of today.
Would you say, if I had to sum all that up, I'd sum it up this way: amateur golfers are consistently inconsistent with their setup.
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And all you got to do is walk on any professional tour, men, women, seniors, and just about
setup.
Every player has spent some time
with it,
with aiming sticks, right? And I never see that on the driving range where amateurs are working. And I would also tell you that most of the time, it was certainly my case, but most of the time when the best in the world get out of whack, it has something to do with their aim, setup, position, and the ball's a little forward, the ball's a little back, which is making them aim a little left, a little right. And so it's constant monitoring by caddies, by coaches, by everybody's there. If they can get a person, male or female, young or old, set up properly, that has the kind of hand-eye coordination that the best in the world have, they're going to hit a good shot. And I think that applies to amateurs. If they can get set up properly, aim in general in the right direction, it gives them their best shot, the best chance to hit a decent shot.
So I'm going to wrap this up with this question. And I know the answer is not 1985. I just don't remember what you told me the answer is. What's the one moment in your golf career that stands out as the highlight?
I hadn't had it yet, John. I hadn't had it yet. I'll tell you the moment that was the most fun, that probably has benefited me the most. I think it was 1995. I was on the last hole of the Shell Houston Open, and I just came off a bogey at 17, and so I knew I had to make birdie to get in the playoff, and ultimately I made par. Scott Hoke and Payne Stewart played off a shot better than me, so I finished third. That was my best finish. But I was walking off the 18th tee. I just hit a really skinny 3-wood that somehow found the fairway, and it was on ABC, and they had a camera in my face, and the camera guy, hardworking guys. They were walking backwards, and I'm just like scared out of my brain. My eyes are big. Of course, you know me, I'm sweating, and I felt like I should say something, and I looked right in the camera, and I went, "Pizza, pizza." Just like that. And I got a buddy of mine whose nickname is Pizza Pizza. And everybody else said, that guy's hungry. I can't tell you how many friends I made over, why did you say pizza, pizza? People wanted to come up and talk to me. So that was probably the most fun moment I had, but also probably at the most scared time that I ever had in my career.
Those are always it. I know you told me that, and there was one other time you told me about another situation, another occurrence, and I don't remember it off the top of my head. But I
Yeah.
asked that because I knew 1985 winning the USGA event does stand out, but it's never been the highlight that you've talked about. You're very modest that way. You've always
Mm.
talked about the fun moments, the pizza, the time
Yeah.
that you're kept cutting up with people, the people you've met by sheer coincidence because of what the games brought to
Right.
you.
Right. Well, there was a few moments. The old Q school system was pretty tough. And there was some moments. I mean, you hear stories of people throwing up, by the first tee, and while I didn't do that, I was close to it, and I remember the year I got my PGA Tour card. Yeah, it's just such a dream. And the first hole at the Greenleaf West course, which I think is in mothballs now, in Haines City, Florida, I was in maybe 10th
It
place,
is.
12th place, coming to the last round, sixth round. There's three. Well, there's 4 stages at Q School. At the time there was three, and you get there, and I'm in good position. I got to go out, and one more round, and the first hole was really a hard par 4, and I couldn't keep the air in my lungs. And there weren't any TV cameras around. Nobody was watching, but I knew that was a big moment, and I striped it right down the middle. I hit a 6-iron to about 6 inches and tapped it in for birdie, and that's when I knew that's when I knew I had it. I said I can get through the rest of this day, because when you're scared in golf, and I don't care if you're a kid trying to beat your dad for the first time, if you're trying to outdrive your buddy who's always hit it by you, or you're trying to win third flight in a club championship, break 80 for the first time, break par, shooting the 60s, shoot your age. You're nervous, and most of the time you don't succeed the first time. In
Yep.
fact, it's exceptional for someone to succeed the first time, but you keep trying, you keep failing, you get to that moment, and you keep grinding away. It's psychology, it's technique, it's that kind of combination of things. And then when you get there, whatever your challenge is, and you pull it off, I'm telling you what, it's a great feeling. And for me, it was at the end of that day I had my PGA Tour card.
Great story. I want to thank you for being part of the inaugural Instant Golf Improvement episode. Before I start thanking people and telling things and so forth, I want to bring you back to it was October 23rd of 23, and we invented a blue sky rain. Do you remember that?
A
I was
blue
going to
sky,
play it,
what?
a blue sky rain. I
I
was going
don't
to play
remember
you
that,
this,
John.
and I'll
You
I'll
remember
send
stuff.
it to
You're
you.
smarter than I am. You're throwing these dates out. I don't even know what month it is right now. What is a blue sky ring?
As blue sky rain, as in
Rain,
rain,
rain, rain, rain. Yeah. I,
sprinklers behind us in front of the Craig,
oh
doing
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what we're doing here.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
I mentioned to you, hey, you said something about a blue sky rain. I said, that sounds like a great spa treatment. And you said, Sounds like a drink to me. I think I'd rather have that as a drink.
Yeah.
So as I wish I had one here for you, but I hope you and Carol go home this evening when you get there and you have a blue sky rain.
Well, that sounds like a good thing to me, and I do remember that now. And hopefully we'll have another blue sky rain at some point.
We're always welcome here at my home. You know that. Hopefully we get to catch up with one another sometime soon during the summer. Again, I want to thank you for being a great friend over the years, being the inaugural guest on IGI. I wish you all the best as you go forward, trying to figure out what the next step in your career is.
Yep. Same to you, old buddy. I can't wait till we get together again.
So before we sign off, thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Omni Orlando Resort at Champions Gate. Again, wonderful partners, FlightScope, Donald Ross at Sportswear, Callaway. Thank you guys for putting me on the map and keeping me there. Our next episode is Tuesday, the 29th of April, 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight. That episode, I'm going to have Claude Brousseau, another great friend of mine who's the director of instruction at Waialae Resort in Maui, Hawaii. We're going to tear some swings apart and put them back together in that episode. Hopefully I can find out how to do that, and I'll have Charlie back on because I know he loves to tear things apart.
You got that
I'll
right.
I'll put them back together if you tear them apart.
Anytime. Happy to come on anytime, John.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you guys for watching. Until the next episode, let's improve your golf skills. Thank you all.